Hello, lovely, and welcome to the Daily Try, the daily podcast that supports you on your fertility journey. My name's Lara, and it's episode 3. So, today I said I was going to talk to you about the fact that you are more than your data, so your cycle data. And I know that when you are trying to get pregnant, you're counting a lot of stuff. So if you're doing it naturally, you might be measuring your ovulation every day, taking your temperature, noting all that down. If you're not doing it naturally, then you're probably looking at all your IVF jabs. How much do I need to give myself? What time do I need to do that? There's so many things to remember and count and just keep track of. It gets a bit crazy. At first you think, yay, I'm learning stuff. I'm getting on top of things. This is going to move me forward. It feels like it's something. So if you are starting out, it feels like, yes, I'm actually taking positive action towards getting the result I want. But after a while, it starts feeling like I'm doing all this and nothing is really making a difference. Or did I do it right? Or did I track it properly? Or did I mess something up? Why hasn't it happened? Why hasn't the result I want to be pregnant actually happened? And before you know it, you can feel like your body is kind of not really working with you. And this is all in your head, in my head, in someone's head. It's not necessarily what's happening, but that's just how it feels. So you feel like the emotional stakes are really high. You feel like you're doing everything you can, and yet you're not getting the results you want. If you take your temperature, if you're ovulating, if you get a temperature that's a little bit different, then it can affect your mood for the whole day. And if your period is late, you get really, really hopeful, and then it just arrives the next day and blur. So it's really hard to, I think, get a read on what your body's doing and being intuitive about how your body's feeling, because you're so busy tracking all this stuff and you're tracking the data. You're telling yourself stories every single day about what this might mean and how it will affect the result that you want. And it can be really hard. And then you go online and it's even worse because everyone is giving you comments and feedback, and most of them are not doctors and they don't necessarily know. They're not necessarily being nice, and it just gets really hard. And it feels sometimes like trying to conceive is like a moral test. I know when I was going through when I did my second embryo transfer, which for those of you who haven't didn't listen to the first episode, unfortunately my transfers didn't work. But my second transfer, I did it during COVID. I had to fly from the UK to Spain to do my transfer. When I came back, I had to go into isolation, and I had to do COVID tests at each end. And then I was actually living in Australia at the time. So then I had to get a flight to Australia, did a 2 weeks isolation in a hotel room. And I thought, I'm doing all this. This has got to work. How many more hoops does the universe want me to jump into to actually get the result I want? And I didn't get pregnant, and I felt really ripped off. I felt like I've done all this effort, a really, really hard time, and it's still not worked. And I just felt like I just failed at it. And I know it's not a moral test, and you're not a better person if you get pregnant during this time or if you don't, but sometimes it feels like that. And it feels like, what did I do wrong that I could have done differently? And I think the thing to realize is that doctors don't know enough about how it works. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves when we're trying to get pregnant, and it's just hard not to connect that pressure with what's actually happening and not to feel like you did something wrong. So another thing I did when I did my second embryo transfer, we were in Barcelona, my brother was with me. We went on a walk. It was a really hot day. And I felt really faint, and I drank a ton of water, sat down, drank a ton of water, but I did feel really faint. And even to this day, I think did that affect my chances? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. And I think if I asked a doctor, they wouldn't know. But it's like every single thing you do, you analyze it to say, did I do it right? Did I measure that right? Oh, I did my jab at 5 minutes later than normal. Did that make a difference? Or, whatever it is, it was slightly different. And did that make a difference? And it can be really hard not to turn your life into what's like a chart of tracking everything and then feel like those numbers going up and down affect who you are and whether you in some ways deserve to have a baby. It's difficult. It's really challenging, and that's one of the reasons that I like to do things like this, because I'm not measuring your worth by what's happened. It's hard. I know it's really hard. I've been there. I'm just trying to help support you while you're going through something that's difficult, that's emotionally charged and difficult. But there's still so many amazing things about you, about me, about everyone, regardless of what the graph or the app or the temperature says. And sometimes you need to just believe that you are more than the outcome that you get. You are more whether your body behaved the way you want it to or not. So the support that I want to give you today is just to believe in yourself, that you are worthy of whatever you may be thinking, I don't deserve, or I didn't do this, therefore I can't have that. And try and feel informed by the information that you're gathering, and you can still care about it, but remember that it's not who you are. Those numbers are not who you are, and you've got this. You are allowed to care about the results, but it's not everything. And it does feel like it's everything, and it does feel like whatever I do, I only want this one thing. And I remember that feeling. I remember it very strongly. I remember trying to do everything, and now looking back and going, well, even now, it's just a few years later, looking back and going, well, maybe I should have, could have, would have. And you just can't think like that. You did the best thing that you could in that situation, and you're doing the best you can right now. And in some ways, you don't know how your body's going to react to all this stuff, and there's so many other things that can impact, but you cannot control them all, and you just need to take a breath and be kind to yourself. I have to and I am not great at taking my own advice, and I still do this, and it's still hard, and I still beat myself up. So I know you're probably thinking, yeah, well, she's not doing it. And yeah, but sometimes you just need to remember that you are fabulous regardless, and it's not just about those numbers. So today I want to give you a massive hug and say you are amazing and you've got this. Have a wonderful day.